recording and let people in. And we are live. Yay! Welcome,
Oh,
welcome,
yeah.
everybody. Oh,
Yay.
let's all take a couple deep breaths, feeling into our body. We've all arrived to this particular Facebook Live today. And
Oh, wow.
look, there's the stage and Caitlin. So many friends. Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is the third time Lawrence and I are doing this, and we're super excited to have Reed here, as Reed is one of my favorite people in the whole world that actually introduced me to the idea of energy sex. And the three of us have taught this many times together, and we have so much fun playing in this realm. So I'm like, Lawrence, who should we interview? And both of us are like, yes, we want Reed, because the last two, it was just me and Lawrence talking to each other. So now you're all cut up. You're here with us. Welcome. So why don't we start? Lawrence, why don't you share a little bit about you and why do you love energy sex? What is it today? What do you love about energy sex?
I would say the most important thing that I love about energy sex is that it is a way of relating to life that to me is the equivalent of listening to a dance track with a lot of deep bass in your body, just. And so, that is so important because it also really connects me to the juice of life. Like I feel like I get this whole other layer of life experience that occurs when I'm in touch with that energetic sexuality. So that's why I love energy sex and why I love teaching about it as well.
I feel it. Even as you're talking about it, I can feel that bass thrumming by my yoni. It's fantastic. Thank you. All right, Reed, how about you? Tell us a little bit about you and what do you love about energy sex today? Like what's something you want to share?
Well, I'm going to have to talk like Lawrence and get way up into everybody's ear holes. Thanks for putting this together, everyone. Hi, everyone. If you're meeting me for the first time, it's Reed Mihalko. Readaboutsex.com is my main website. So the thing I love about playing with energy and energy sex is it gives me permission to not have sex be just genitals. And for me, and I'll post in the comments a link to a body storytelling dirty story about my Kundalini awakening. But like, sex was great before, and then after my Kundalini awakening and being able to kind of like play with and interface with energy in different ways, as a nerd and as a geek, there was just so much. There were so many more crayons in the crayon box of how you could connect with people. And then there was like, oh my God, like you could have energy sex with multiple people at the same time. Like you can fuck a tree. Like there are all these things that that I then had access to that I hadn't before. And also like growing up in American culture, just like with very limited sex education, like all of a sudden there was just more choice and ways to connect and play with people. And then like being inside of playing with energy and nerding out on chakras and things like that, there's all these different, there's like a crayon box in every chakra of new things you can try and play with and how you can engage with people. So just for me, there are so many different things available and so many different ways to be creative in how I can connect with others. That was the things that were really useful for me. And the things that I like so much about it, there's just so much more that you can do when you can play with and connect with people energetically. And believe me, like I also just love non-energetic, like physical and manual sex. Like I go both ways. I like all the woo-woo. I like all the non-woo-woo stuff. So, but when you have access to all of those things together, there's just so much more you can play with.
Thank you for that, Reed. And for all of you that are watching, then feel free to type in the chat if you have questions that come up, and we'll ask each other questions, and we'll get to your questions if any of you are courageous enough to post them and want to ask them here. So Lawrence, why don't you share with us a particular story of like where energy sex made a huge, whether it was one of the first times or one of your most memorable times that energy really enhanced your sexual experience, whether it was with a person or the sunshine or however that looks to you.
I mean, yeah, it started with I was, I had come out of a meditation, like this very formal meditation workshop where I had meditated for like a week straight. And it was cool, everything was great, but a lot of like heart chakra and a lot of like, and so it was cool, and I was like, this is great. And I was when the workshop was over, I went into the forest and I had a little trailer that I was sleeping in. And so I laid down and I was like, all of a sudden my body just started vibrating. And I was like, what is this? And then it just expanded. And soon the trailer disappeared. And I was just in this vibration of aliveness and sex with like the forest and the sky. And this went on all night long. I did not sleep. I was just like, just in this like, I can't even describe just how, the wind, the stars, the trees, the limbs, the birds in the morning. And I was like, I really like this meditation stuff. But of course, that was a side effect of meditation, and then all these years of Tantra that I had been practicing. And it was in that moment that these two worlds bridged. And then I've just never turned back. And when I was so excited, I got out of bed in the morning and went to the teacher who was the meditation master at that particular event. And I was like, I'm so excited. Let me tell you about this experience and blah, blah, blah. And he just looked at me with just awe. I want that, he said. I was like, yeah, of course you do. And you can have it. So that's how that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, Reed, same question. Can you share a story with us from your life when energy was particularly potent with sex with a person or other beings, or however that looked to you?
Yeah, I mean, so my Kundalini awakening, I'll give you the quick version of it, and then I'll link to the body storytelling on my YouTube about it. But how do I want to talk about this? I'm not going to talk about the Kundalini awakening story because that's just a bigger thing. So I will talk about the first time that you, Monique, Lawrence, and I did the heart fuck toboggan. In one of whatever class it was, whenever it was years ago. I'm going to tell a Lawrence story. So Lawrence and I were teaching at a Tantra event, and I was hosting a play party because I'm a nerd and I also enjoy group sex, and for those of you who aren't familiar with my work, I do all kinds of sex education and relationship communication skill sets, and one of the things I needed in my life that I didn't know back in the day were orgies. Like for me, I'm very much like the more the merrier, and I'm a nerd about facilitating play parties. And so we're at this Tantra conference, and I did the welcome circle for a play party. And so there's all these, dakinis and dakas, and they're all, you know, we're all playing and we're frolicking, and this is like a night off. Like we're not healing people, but the experience of just being able to frolic together was healing. And so Lawrence, I forget how we get here, Lawrence, and jump in and add to the story, but but Lawrence being, you know, like such an energy geek and master around it, like he's playing with energy with some folks, and more people are kind of
joining.
Do you remember like in 7th or 8th grade, if you had this experience in science class where they would have like the hand cranked generator that would create an electrical charge, and like somebody would hold on to it, and then you'd grab the hand of a student and you'd make like a circuit, and then somebody would hold a light bulb, and the circuit would get the light bulb or the thing to kind of move. So we were playing with erotic energy and just kind of like dropping into each other's, the way that I would do it, were our notes, and more people were kind of touching and leaning on us. And so we were just getting to add the energy, or this is what Lawrence was doing. And then I get done doing whatever I'm doing. It probably included a bunch of dildos and things like that.
And then, I want to say one thing about that, right? Like, so as it's kind of like Legos at this point. There's just attachments everywhere, including a yoni on the top of my skull. And somewhere around this point, with all these Lego attachments going, Reed.
So I come over and I'm like, would you like me to add like more juice to this? Like, can I just like a car battery? Can I just like add more? And for me, and the way that energy occurs to me, it's a lot about trying to find the note and hit that harmonic. And so like, and a group will have a certain kind of note. And what's really fun is I know Lawrence can take a lot. Like if you were like a martial artist and you had somebody who's like, hit me as hard as you can. And they're like, okay. And you hit them and they're like, no, like hit me as hard as you can.
Really?
Yeah. So with Lawrence, it was more like energetically, I could just unleash the fire hose of whatever I can have access to and just aim it at Lawrence. And I know Lawrence will be like an X-Man who just gets more powerful the harder you blast him. And then it would have this ripple effect for the group. So I grab Lawrence's feet, and you have lovely feet, sir. And then I just kind of like try to find the note. And then I'm like, are you ready? And if you've ever been around Lawrence, like when you hit Lawrence with a lot of energy, he just giggles and laughs. So I had the blessing of having a friend who I knew I could trust, who was basically like, hit me as hard as you can. You cannot hurt me. And so I just opened up, and just to hear Lawrence giggle, and to see everybody else have their experiences, that was really powerful for me, because I think that was the first time I ever felt comfortable, like going as hard as I could. And so, yeah, like, thank you. And thank you for the question, Monique, because it brings back that story, that memory.
Such a good story.
I love it. And since Reed didn't talk about the Heart Bug Toboggan, then I'll share that with all of you, because as you know, I've done events all over the world, and it doesn't matter what event that we're doing, more often than not, then people are like, I want the Heart Bug. Can you show me what the Heart Bug is? I want to experience that. And it's just such a fun way to be able to connect energetically and, you know, somewhat sexually, depending on if people want that energy. And so you just put people in a line. And it's even double the fun if I have Lawrence or Reed there, and I'll put one of them at one end, so they're the anchor point, and then people open up their legs, and then you have person after person after person and make this whole long line, and then I'm at the other end and I'll touch their heart. And so then we'll send energy penetrating through their heart all the way back to Lawrence or Reed, whoever's the anchor point, until it hits them. And then they'll send their big energetic cock back. So there's this big circle through the group. And first the group just sits and feels it, and they're all being penetrated and feeling that energy through them. And then at some point, if they want to, then they can add in their energetic cocks. And then everybody's penetrating everybody, and it becomes this full-blown firework Heart Bug Toboggan. And it's going through our hearts, through our genitals, through anywhere in your body that you want to receive it. And again, it's just expanding that definition of what is sex. And this is with all of our clothes on. And there's people moaning and wailing and crying and having orgasms and just having this amazing, or being super still. Like we've had friends that are just super still, and that's like, oh, I'm home. Like there's a space for me to be home here. And so I love that so much.
Me too.
Lawrence, do you have a question for Reed? We have Reed here. Do you have a question for him?
Yeah. Oh wait, I see some hands going up though. Did a hand go up? Oh, okay. I guess not. Okay. Yeah, my question for Reed is, when did you really first realize that there was this other thing happening for you before the Kundalini experience? Was there like a moment where the doors were kind of opening, or your mind was opening, or was it all in that one, contained in that one event?
Thank you for the question. So for folks who are watching, I used to be a martial artist. I have not been active in the martial arts for over 20 years. But when I was a teenager, that seeing a Bruce Lee film changed my life, and then I wanted to become Bruce Lee. And so I studied for several decades and got a couple of different black belts and things. And one of my teachers, and also kind of like in martial arts lore, there's all like the being blindfolded and being able to sense energy, and like in the movies it's like the Force, and in Star Wars, but like being able to catch a sword in mid flight. All those ideas were in my imagination, and in kind of popular culture, and also for me as a comic book nerd, and I used to be a comic book artist before I went into sex education. So I had a vivid imagination of like, there must be more things out there that are possible than what we normally get raised to believe is real. And if you would all like to follow along, if everyone could just do air quotes for a second. You've got air quotes, and now you've got dirty air quotes. So a little slower. There you go. Good. Then you have creepy air quotes. Things get a little weird. And so for me, I had this yearning to like, what more is possible? So when in practicing martial arts and training, like we would do exercises where we were blindfolded and kind of what's called sticky hands, where you're just trying to learn how to feel somebody's body and where the resistance is and where the opening might be, and you're trying to listen with your body and not just see things with your eyes. And then that would lead it to later studying with my sensei in college, and Bob, if you're watching, I love you. And we did a lot of things around street combat, and we practiced a lot with a thing called chite in Okinawan, which was just nerve point attacks, and like how to knock somebody out by hitting certain points in their body. And those nerve attacks, sometimes what you're trying to hit is about the size of like a pencil lead, but you're trying to hit it with your thumb while you're moving and they're moving. And some of those points, some of the knockout points are like on somebody's back, and they're facing you, so you can't see where it is. So you kind of have to feel where you think the point is. And that was a lot of manual training. But what was happening was I was being trained in how to track what I would believe to be energy, because I'm trying to hit a point I can't see that's really tiny while both of us are moving. And so you're listening, or trying to, the way it would occur to me, trying to hear where that strike point is and track it while everyone's moving. And so that skill, if I were to teach it today, I would teach it with a much more energetic kind of take on it. And it wasn't that my sensei wasn't an energy nerd. He just didn't talk in that way because he was a science major in pre-med. So we were much more heavy on the, like, you know, science of things. But like being able to hear where an attack point is while it's moving through space is a form of listening and dropping into energy. So I would say like that was really, even though I didn't know it then, that was my first beginnings of developing that kind of, I have a hunch that, you know, there's something else going on that I wasn't aware of in how I was raised as a kid. So that's my answer. I'm sorry if it was long-winded.
It was perfect. Thank you. We have a question from our viewers saying, for someone who's completely new to Tantra, what's the best practice to start with? And I would say breath, because breath brings you into your body and it really helps you slowing down. And so if you want to be able to have more presence, if you want to be able to be available for what's going on in the world, with another, within yourself, then you have to be willing to slow down. Because so often in our life, everything's fast forward, we're distracting ourselves, the world's distracting us, and often then we don't even know where we end and another person begins. So if you can come into your breath, if you can slow everything down in this moment, like the touch on your face, your connection with another person, just looking into their eyes, like how can you slow it all down, be connected with your breath and with another? Then for me, that's the entryway into Tantra or energetic practices. What would your answer be, Lawrence Lanoff?
Ooh, man. Wow, that's such a big question. The paradox of all of this, of course, is that the beauty is in the simplicity. So there is a quality of listening that is essential to any kind of energetic sexuality. And, you know, a simple practice would be, before you started thinking about another human, would be to take something like a plant, for example, and just sit that plant in front of you. And just because there isn't a story, I mean, maybe you're attracted to a plant, which is cool. But, you know, what's more like, you know, find a plant you're not super attracted to, just you want to hang out with, right? And you just hang out with that plant and feel what you feel. See if you can kind of catch the flavor or the quality of that plant without a lot of story. I feel like something, I mean, yes, that's a little bit more advanced than breath, but that is an idea that will take you into learning how to start sensing. And it's very simple because it's, you know, it's a plant. It's no big deal, or a flower. And that way what you're developing is a way or a quality of listening that allows you to tap into that energy that Reed was discussing, like that flow that isn't apparent on the surface. And that's really what you're starting to train yourself to do.
Thank you. And Reed, you can answer that question,
for the question
too. But there's also a question in chat that I think is perfect for you. Can you see the chat, Reed?
Yeah. Do you want to read the question?
Yeah, the question is, can energetic sex be safe as much as regular safe sex? And how would you define safe energetic sex?
Ooh, good nerd question for sex educators and geeks alike. So first let's start with the word safe. This would be appropriate for air quotes, not scare quotes, air quotes. So the reason in the sex ed world why we talk about safer sex is there's no such thing as anything being completely safe, unless you're just never going to have sex, which then comes with its own kind of repercussions for people who who need that kind of connection. And then there's a whole other conversation about like what is sex and how do we define it and blah 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 blah. So you can go down that rabbit hole on your own if you'd like, or nerd out with, you know, other geeks about it. But when we start talking about energetic sex, it's the same kind of thing, because there's no such thing as safe. And so now we start coming into like, well, what's dangerous about it? Or like, what's so powerful about connecting, either physically or energetically or both? What's so powerful that something might happen that isn't what we want or isn't healthy? And like, so now we're kind of in the realm of like, what are your beliefs and what are your wants, needs, and desires? So for some people, their belief systems around energy is, if I open myself up energetically, then I might let bad things in. And I'm not going to argue with people about beliefs. Lawrence has some really great frameworks on like, there is no such thing as bad energy, and there's no such thing as good energy. There's just energy. And, you know, if you're like Lawrence, then you can just like devour. Lawrence is like a billy goat when it comes to energy. He can eat anything. He can eat anything and he just digests it and he's fine. But like somebody else, that orientation might not work for you for whatever reason, your belief system or just like how your energetic system is. So this is a long answer, but like acknowledging that everyone's different and unique, which sounds like a cliche, but really acknowledging that. And then like including when you play with people and when you are considering to engage with people yourself, or even engaging with a tree, like, what do you need to feel safe, to feel like you had an experience that didn't harm you? So like, it's a simple question, but it can get very complicated because we're not taught to think about these things and really kind of figure out like what do I need and what am I trying to create? And then playing with people who can hear you and have this conversation with you so you can co-create an experience that you want and that you will benefit from. To answer this question in a non-complicated way, yes, energetic sex can be as safe as regular sex. And the biggest thing I would advocate for a lot of people to think about is when you have powerful ecstatic experiences, especially ones that are free from the normal bullshit of life. So if you or somebody you're playing with has had a lot of trauma and around actual physical sex, then playing with energy, because it kind of takes genitals out of the picture and penetration doesn't have to happen, you know, penis vagina type stuff, or with fingers, but like we can penetrate each other energetically, then they might, when you play energetically with them, feel so much safer and so less triggered because it's not real sex, that they can finally open up. And then maybe you're so good at connecting with them erotically and energetically that you fucking blow their mind because they didn't even know a heart fuck was possible. And they've never felt their kundalini twitch before. So they like come alive. And then you have such a powerful experience with them and they feel so safe with you that they're like, you're the one. You must be my soulmate. I've never had that happen before. And then the safer part of sex is like they're imprinting on you so hard that like there's like enmeshment and entanglement and projection and all the things that you probably, the two of you didn't have a conversation about not imprinting on each other before you played energetically. So this all comes back down to, what is your safer sex talk, even when you're playing energetically with people? And have you figured out what your needs are and how your body and emotions and spirit work so that you two can negotiate how to do this safely and leave each other feeling respected and nourished and hopefully with a lot less complications and unintended consequences?
Reed, so since we're talking about how to energetically leave someone, would you be willing to do your Velcro meditation for
Oh,
people to
sure.
get to feel?
Yeah, thank you. So first, let's just take a second to just kind of, if you want to, you don't have to want to, and you don't have to do the exercise, and you don't even have to believe in this stuff, because I love my skeptics too, because placebo effect is measurable and it's proven. So who cares if this is real or not? Are we having fun? So if you would like to try to energetically connect, can we just connect with the three of us, Monique and Lawrence? We'll just, so if you,
Absolutely.
whatever energy means to you, you have the three of ours permissions to like connect with us. So imagine we're each like a Wi-Fi signal, and and there's no password on us, and you can just connect to our Wi-Fi. And then, if you're super woo, just download all the apps. Download all the best apps. You got plenty of memory. Just get all the woo shit, like download it and have fun with it. But like try to connect with us, and what we'll do for about 15, 20 seconds is we'll be the like Lawrence said about the bass speakers. We'll be the bass speakers, and we'll just kind of send out some good jams for you energetically. And then wherever you feel that connection, you can use that however you'd like. And we're just going to be available. There we go. I can feel that. Uh-huh. And remember, like, it's Lawrence, so there's a lot of bandwidth. You can download a lot of stuff fast with Lawrence. He's like Silicon Valley type Wi-Fi. It's good shit right there. And so the reason we're doing that is I just want to invite you to kind of raise your energy a little bit. And now we'll do this for another 5 seconds, and then I'm just going to lead you through a grounding meditation, because now we'll, rather than me just saying it to you, we'll actually have the experience of it. So now just... I'm going to start turning the volume down on this energy. And when I move energy, the visual that I have is it's like a kite. So my energy is wind. And so my kite is just really high up there in the sky. And I'm just going to start reeling my kite in. I don't have to yank it. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to cut the cord to it. I can, no matter how strong the wind is, I can slowly just start to reel my kite in towards me. It's not going to take a lot of effort. It'll always come towards you. Just reel it in. And when you can imagine that your kite is within arm's reach, grab your kite and imagine hugging it into your body. So you bring your kite in, you bring it into your body. Don't forget to breathe as we're doing this. And as you bring your kite in, then I just want you to kind of feel, imagine, shift into like being in the room where you're at. Feel your butt. Is it on a chair? Is it on a couch, a cushion? Maybe you're standing. Like, are your feet? Can you feel your feet on the ground? Pull in your kite and then be in the room where you're at, wherever you're at. And now that you're in the room, now let's get on the planet. So for me, I imagine like roots coming out of my legs and my ass and my feet, and I just kind of like root into the earth. Whatever visualizations work for you, maybe the earth comes up and kind of engulfs you or holds you. Whatever works for you, go with that visual or that image. So kite in, absorb your kite, enter the room, and then get on the earth, whatever that means to you. And once I'm rooted, I'm more grounded, then I go inward and I imagine myself inside myself, and I'm looking around almost like I'm a little night guard, a little night watchman. I've got a flashlight. I'm looking inside myself to make sure that I'm all here. that all of my windows and doors are closed and locked so that I am whole and contained as myself. I'm not leaking any energy. Whatever your ways of becoming whole. So now I'm in the room, I'm on the ground, and now I'm contained inside myself. And then from there, I'm going to take a breath, a little exhale. The last two pieces of the visualization is I'm going to imagine that I am covered with the scratchy kind of Velcro. The Velcro that's the scratchy side, the side with the hooks. I'm covered with those hooks, and I'm going to imagine straightening my hooks so that I can't get clingy on anyone, that I don't get stuck on anyone. And when I straighten my hooks so that I don't get hooked on anyone, I then want to imagine pulling my strands in so that I'm smooth like glass, so that no one can get stuck or glom onto me. And if I was with somebody in person, we could actually talk our way through this exercise. And for a lot of people, the Velcro hooks, straightening them and pulling them in, is really helpful to kind of create or prevent unintentional like tangling or cording onto each other. And then I take one more breath. Let out a little sound. And that's the grounding exercise.
Thank you so much for that. I know I watch people so often in our classes and how deeply it helps them. And they're like, oh, here I am. There's the other person. And so maybe you are my soulmate. We'll find out a month, a year, 2 years down the line, instead of, oh, just take me home with you. I never want this to end. And it's okay to feel all that. Just don't go home with them. Like, let them go home. You go home and come home here. And then you can continue having these experiences together with others, with yourself, with all the beings that want to play. So we only have a few minutes left. So I'd love to just go around and the three of us can share any final thoughts that you want to leave people with about energy sex and how they can find you, where they can find you. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Cool.
So folks can go to my website, readaboutsex.com. But I do have a handout for my Energetic Sex for Pragmatists workshop. So that might help, and it's free. So you can go to readaboutsex.com, REID, about sex.com, /energy. And just sign up, and it'll email you a link to the handout. And then I recommend that if you can, print out your handout and then like hang it on your fridge or put it in your bathroom or something so that you keep running into it, so you can look at these ideas and kind of give yourself stuff to think about. For a lot of you, you're super somatic, and so like you want to be in your bodies to learn things. And for some of us go both ways. Some of us are very intellectual, and like reading and thinking about ideas is our way to get into our bodies. So if that works for you, then I'll leave the link in the comments. Next.
Thank you for that, Reed. You want to go next, Lawrence?
Sure. You can find me at lawrencetheenergymaster.com. And you can also, I post on Insta, and if there's some things that you're interested in, I have a lot of free meditations on YouTube, just cool stuff I've kind of recorded, because I really like to gift this stuff as much as possible to people, since it's always amazing and eye-opening and mind-blowing. So those are the best ways, I think, right now to find stuff that I have. Oh, and of course, The Future of Sex is out on Amazon, which is a phenomenal book. If you have not read that, it's really incredible. It's like 10 years of exploring energy sex, then just sucked into a book, and we hit the bestseller list, which is really cool. Very excited about that. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you can find me at everydaytantra.com. I just put it in the comments. And we have, Lawrence and I just finished an energy sex training for facilitators in Cabo. And we'll be having that again in Sedona in July. And then Reed's going to come join us in Cabo next year. So you can start planning ahead if you want to come play in Mexico. Then next March, we'll have Energy Sex Level 1 with Reed and Energy Sex Level 2 with Lawrence. So there's many ways.
Amazing.
Yes, it's so much fun. And we have a secret Facebook group called The Ins and Outs of Energetic Sex. And you're welcome to join. We have, Lawrence and I will be doing these Facebook Lives every 2 weeks on Thursdays at noon. And I'm sure we'll get Reed back. We'll have several different guest stars. My dear friend Kathleen Cienfuegos is coming in 2 weeks. So stay in touch with us. We all have free stuff on our sites, and we all love diving into these subjects. And I'm so grateful you joined us today, Reed.
Thank you, Reed. Bye, everybody.
Good job,
Thank you
everybody.
so much.
Good job.
Good job.
Thanks for showing up. We love you all.
Bye.
Bye.